You're at a work event. Two people walk in. The first one drives a new BMW, wears designer clothes, latest iPhone, nice watch. Everything looks expensive. The second one drives a 2019 Honda Civic, wears clean but simple clothes. Nothing flashy, nothing that screams money. Now let me ask you something. Which one do you think is actually wealthy? If I told you the BMW driver has $8,400 in savings and $47,000 in car and credit card debt, and the Honda driver has $340,000 invested and zero consumer debt, you would probably not be surprised, because somewhere you already knew this. But here is what you did not know. The Honda driver is not just richer, they are mathematically, structurally, permanently ahead in a way that almost nobody explains clearly. My name is Alicia, and I have spent way too much time obsessing over financial data, human psychology, and the hidden mechanics of wealth, so you don't have to. Today I want to talk about something that personal finance culture gets completely backwards. Looking poor, or more accurately, choosing not to display wealth, is not a sacrifice, it is a strategy. One of the most powerful wealth-building strategies that exists. And the math behind it is something most people have never actually seen laid out. So let's talk about it. Let me start with a number that changes everything. The average new car payment in the United States in 2025 is $737 per month. That is not the car, that is just the monthly payment. Now here is what $737 per month actually means when you understand compound growth. $737 every month for 30 years at a 10% average annual return. The historical average of the S&P 500 grows to $1,623,000. One car payment, 30 years, $1.6 million. But most people never see that number because most people are making the car payment. And here is the part that nobody talks about. It is not just cars. The average American spends $3,200 per year on clothing, $2,800 per year on dining out beyond basic meals, $1,400 per year on subscriptions they barely use, and an estimated $1,100 per year on things specifically designed to signal status to other people. That is $8,500 per year, $78 per month, spent on looking like you have money instead of actually building it. And $78 per month invested for 30 years at 10% becomes $1,557,000. Most people are sitting on $1.5 million worth of future wealth, and they are spending it every month on things that impress people they will never see again. Now, I want to introduce you to a concept that most personal finance content refuses to name directly. It is called wealth erasure spending. Wealth erasure spending is any money you spend specifically because of how it makes you look to other people, not because of how it makes you feel or function. The difference between a $30,000 car that gets you to work and a $65,000 car that also gets you to work but makes you look successful is $35,000 in wealth erasure spending. That $35,000 gap, invested at 10% for 20 years, becomes $235,000. You did not buy a nicer car. You sold $235,000 of your future self to impress people who will forget about your car within a week. The same math applies to every status purchase. The $800 handbag versus the $60 handbag. The $4,500 vacation upgrade versus the $1,200 vacation upgrade. The $450 sneakers versus the $65 sneakers. Every single one of these decisions has a future value, and almost nobody calculates it before they swipe their card. Here is something that the data consistently confirms and that most people find genuinely shocking. The people who look the wealthiest are frequently not the wealthiest. A 2023 study found that among households earning between $100,000 and $150,000 annually, a solidly upper-middle-class income, nearly 40% had less than $10,000 in investable assets. They earned six figures, they looked successful, and they had essentially nothing saved. Meanwhile, the research on actual millionaires, people with a net worth over $1 million, tells a completely different story. The majority of millionaires in America drive ordinary cars, live in modest homes relative to their income, shop at regular grocery stores, and actively avoid signaling wealth in public. This is not an accident. This is a pattern. Thomas Stanley spent decades studying wealthy Americans. His research found that the typical millionaire spends significantly less per year on clothing, cars, and luxury items than the typical high-income non-millionaire. The people trying to look rich are not the rich people. The actual rich people are the ones you would never guess. Now let me give you 5 specific behaviors that separate the people building real wealth from the people performing wealth for others. Number 1. They drive cars they own, not cars they perform. The average millionaire drives a car that is 3 to 4 years old and fully paid off, not because they cannot afford a new one, because they understand that a car is transportation, not a statement. A $50,000 car financed at 7% over 60 months costs you $594 per month and $5,640 in interest alone. That same $594 per month invested for 5 years at 10% grows to $46,000. You paid $5,640 in interest and gave up $46,000 in growth to own a depreciating asset that loses 20% of its value the moment you drive it off the lot. Number 2. They protect their income before they display it. Every dollar you spend on status before your financial foundation is secure is a dollar working against you. The sequence matters more than the amount. Emergency fund first, debt elimination first, retirement contributions first. Then, only then, does lifestyle spending make mathematical sense. Most people do this in reverse. They upgrade their lifestyle the moment their income increases. This is called lifestyle inflation, and it is the single most effective way to stay broke on a good salary. A person earning $80,000 who saves 20% builds more wealth over a lifetime than a person earning $150,000 who saves 5%. The income is almost irrelevant. The gap between income and spending is everything. Number 3. They understand the difference between price and cost. Price is what you pay today. Cost is what you give up forever. The price of those $450 sneakers is $450. The cost, invested at 10% over 25 years, is $4,870. The price of the $65,000 car upgrade over the $30,000 car is $35,000. The cost over 20 years is $235,000. When you start seeing every purchase in terms of its future cost rather than its current price, your spending behavior changes permanently. Number 4. They are invisible on purpose. Wealthy people who stay wealthy do not post their vacations, do not wear their net worth, do not drive their portfolio. This is not modesty. This is strategy. When you signal wealth publicly, you invite social pressure to maintain that signal. You invite comparison. You invite requests. You invite your own psychology working against you. Because once people expect a certain lifestyle from you, stepping back feels like failure even when it is financially the right move. Staying invisible keeps your options open. It keeps your decisions yours. Number 5. They measure wealth in assets, not appearances. Net worth is not what you drive, it is not what you wear, it is not what your Instagram looks like. Net worth is the difference between what you own and what you owe. A person with a $400,000 investment portfolio, a paid-off $180,000 home, and no consumer debt has a net worth of $580,000. They might look completely ordinary. A person with a $75,000 car, a $500,000 house with $413,000 still owed, $30,000 in credit card debt, and $15,000 in savings has a net worth of negative $5,000 and looks extremely successful. One of these people is wealthy. The other one is performing wealth, and from the outside, most people would guess it backwards. Let me show you what looking poor actually costs and what it saves. Marcus is 28. He earns $72,000 per year. He drives a leased BMW at $680 per month. He wears designer clothes averaging $400 per month. He eats out regularly, spending $600 per month beyond basic groceries. Total status spending, $1,680 per month. At 58, after 30 years, Marcus's status spending, invested instead at 10%, would have been worth $3,800,000. Marcus is not spending $1,680 per month. Marcus is spending $3,800,000 of his retirement. Diana is also 28. She earns $72,000 per year. She drives a 4-year-old Honda she owns outright. She spends modestly on clothes, $60 per month. She cooks most of her meals. Total status spending redirected to investments, $1,680 per month. At 58, Diana has $3,800,000. Same income, same age, same starting point. Completely different financial lives, built entirely on the decision of what to do with money that could have gone to appearances. Now I want to address the thing that most people feel when they hear this kind of advice. It sounds like deprivation. It sounds like punishment. It sounds like you are being asked to live a smaller life so that some number in a brokerage account can get bigger. That is not what this is. Here is the reframe. Every status purchase is a trade. You are trading future freedom for current approval. Every non-status investment is also a trade. You are trading current approval for future freedom. The question is not whether you want to enjoy your money. Of course you do. The question is when and at what price. Spending $3,800,000 worth of retirement wealth on status signals between 28 and 58 means working until you have to instead of until you want to. Investing that same money means retiring early. Means never needing to take a job you hate. Means having options that most people spend their entire lives wishing they had. That is not deprivation. That is the most expensive thing you can buy, and it does not look like anything from the outside. So here's what I want you to do this week. 1. Calculate your wealth erasure spending. Go through your last 3 months of bank statements. Highlight every purchase that was primarily motivated by how it would look to other people. Add it up. Then multiply by 12 for your annual number. Then go to any compound interest calculator and enter that number invested monthly for 30 years at 10%. Look at that number. Really look at it. 2. Calculate the future cost of your biggest status purchase. If you have a car payment, multiply the monthly payment by the number of months remaining. Then add the interest you will pay. Then calculate what that total invested over the remaining loan term would grow to. That is the real cost of your car. 3. Define what financial freedom actually means to you. Not a generic retirement age, not a vague being rich goal. A specific number, a specific date, a specific life. When you know what you are actually saving toward, the trades become easier to make. 4. Start measuring your net worth monthly, not your income, not your lifestyle. Your actual net worth, assets minus liabilities. Track it every month. The number that matters is not what you earn or what you spend. It is the gap between what you own and what you owe. Watch that gap grow. That is the only scoreboard that matters. None of this requires earning more. None of this requires a financial advisor. None of this requires anything except the decision to stop spending your future on other people's opinions of your present. The Honda driver and the BMW driver started the same. The only difference was what they decided the money was for. If this video changed how you think about a single purchase you are about to make, that is exactly why I make these. Subscribe if you want more of this. Share it with someone who needs to see the math. The gap between looking wealthy and being wealthy is measured in decades and millions of dollars. Now you know which side of that gap you want to be on. I'll see you in the next one.